Hello and welcome. In this video, we're going to talk about practice transformation framework, creating a model unit. My name is Alicia Anderson, and I'm a quality improvement advisor here at the Kentucky REC. And joining me today is Jessica Elliott, our lead practice transformation advisor. So let's start out by talking a little bit about what the purpose of practice transformation framework is. And when we implement it, what are those outcomes going to look like? So practice transformation framework is going to include both consultative and coaching services that help practices and organizations rapidly implement a quality improvement infrastructure. So many practices use some form of quality improvement, but the internal framework that you establish with this model is really going to provide that pathway for a culture of continuous improvement. And it's also going to help you achieve those strategic organizational objectives and help support organizations as they transition to value-based care models. So when we look at quality improvement, we often think about that first outcome bullet, where we're optimizing our clinical quality performance and improving patient outcomes for financial health sustainability. Where this model really expands and differs is that sustainability piece. This model is going to focus on more than just the improvement of quality measures. It's going to engage and empower your teams and help provide transparency and create actionable change. And it's really going to help you develop that infrastructure to adapt and course correct when things are thrown at us, which is ultimately going to result in a culture that is hardwired in improvement and innovation at all levels in your organization. And once you have that culture, you can really start to realize that sustainability.
Now, at the Kentucky Regional Extension Center, we've developed this particular framework based on our years of experience leading sustainable improvement within practices and health systems of various shapes and sizes. And Alicia and I are going to talk with you all today about some of the elements of this service line that we offer. Now, starting out with clinician leader engagement. This is through a dyadic or triadic model that addresses improvement through a multidisciplinary partnership. Empowered and engaged localized clinician leaders, they have ownership of their performance. They identify areas of need and they develop and implement drivers for change. When a health system, an organization, a practice implements this particular model, it creates an infrastructure of accountability. It delineates responsibility and it provides those clinic leaders the authority for critical decision making.
And next, we're going to have your transparent data sharing and tool development. And that's going to be another very important part of this framework. By transparently sharing your data, it's really going to help drive that improvement in whatever measures you choose to work on. And we're often working on those clinical quality goals, but there are many other types of measures that your organization can focus on as well. And those might be your patient experience or patient access goals, employee engagement, or financial and productivity goals. And this data is really going to help show you where you're currently at and what you need to do to reach your goal and what is that gap to reach your goal. And it's also going to help motivate staff to make improvements and really build that trust and show the why. Remind everybody that we're all in this together and we're making improvements together. And it's really going to show how everyone's efforts impact those results.
Now, an organization that has a hardwired culture of continuous improvement, they are going to have a standard quality improvement methodology, be it Model for Improvement, Lean, Six Sigma. But having this methodology alone isn't always enough. You have to provide really that system of accountability, setting goals, monitoring performance, and giving improvement teams space to test their changes, to collaborate with each other, and share those best practices. All of this leads to creating standard work to make very focused and rapid progress, cascading all the way up to that system level.
And then you're also going to have your senior and executive leadership. And that's really going to be one of the main drivers of the success in this framework. So your leadership is going to set goals that align with the quality strategy, and they're really going to support your dyad or triad teams. And that leadership team is going to provide support and direction that helps with problem solving. And that support is really going to allow for engagement and encourage teams to dive into the work that they're doing and be excited about the work they're doing. And this is all, again, going to lead back to that building and promoting that culture of continuous improvement and innovation.
Think about your organization as a rowboat, and we all have our oars in the water. If we all don't paddle, though, in that same direction, we're not going to go anywhere. We might even tip the boat over. Providers and staff, when they can really connect and see that what they do at that individual patient level impacts the whole health of an organization, it's going to build engagement and it's going to have that connection to purpose that we all need. Setting organizational priorities and then cascading them throughout to that individual clinic, location, or work team is what is going to make your patients safer, healthier, and more satisfied with the care that you deliver. Now, with that, Alicia is actually going to talk with you a little bit more about that dyadic triadic structure we've mentioned.
Right, so your dyads are going to be made up of a pair that's going to include a physician champion and an administrative champion. And your triads would be a team of 3 that would include that same physician champion and administrative champion, but they're also going to have a nursing champion. And these teams really strengthen the quality and patient care. Each team member is really going to bring a different perspective to that common goal, and they're going to provide their expertise in decision making. So when we look at making changes to workflows or to processes, or we want to implement something new, we're really going to be able to look at all these change ideas through these different lenses. And that's going to help set your teams up for success right from the beginning. And this is also going to help lead to engagement and empowerment in your frontline teams to identify and solve quality issues right at that point of care.
And the model unit itself, this really creates and builds that internal leadership team, that quality improvement team at that local level that spearheads your clinical strategy. They act as a unit as change agents and really advocate for initiatives amongst their peers. The dyads and triads that Alicia mentioned, they're ultimately held accountable for their performance through setting those organization-aligned goals. The organization provides the materials, the education, the resources to really help support those leaders in achieving their goals. They lay that foundation. And then also senior leadership creates an accountability framework for those dyads to meet their goals. This accountability can look and feel different, really for every organization. But as your advisors here at the Regional Extension Center, we will work with you to help design what that framework, what that structure is going to look and feel right for your particular organization.
All right, so we've talked a lot about the importance of transparency. So let's talk a little bit about transparency in data sharing and how we're going to share that data. So we can share data at a few different levels. We can start at that enterprise or organizational level and then drill deeper down into department level data or that individual clinician level data. Once we have this data, we can better analyze where improvements are needed and where we want to focus our efforts. We can start by setting organizational quality improvement goals or those overreaching goals. And we now know what we need to improve together as a whole. And then we can drill down into those different levels of data and we can see where departments are doing really well and maybe where departments need some improvement. So now those departments can strategically select goals that will help drive improvement in those overarching organizational goals. And then once departments have set their goals and start developing change ideas for improvement, they can use that data to evaluate effectiveness of the change.
And that transparency really lends itself to having that standard quality improvement methodology that is cascaded to every individual within your organization, not even just the dyadic teams, but everyone in your organization is speaking that common improvement language, that it becomes part of that culture. Another aspect is also creating a system for shared learning and accountability. So shared learning, that can be opportunities for information dissemination as well as for dyads to share their best practices, to come together to problem solve, and to really strategize to help move the needle, not just at their individual unit, but also to see how it rolls up to the greater organization in connection with that. For accountability, creating that framework, not just around goal setting, but, what type of additional incentive structure would be, needed and important for your organization to really help drive that change. One of the things that we have found that has actually been really beneficial is implementing a learning collaborative model, that it does create that bi-directional information sharing with those dyad teams all the way up through senior leadership who are overseeing the project itself. Another aspect is really that quality improvement infrastructure and support. And here at the Regional Extension Center, we work with you and serve as your advisors for this piece, but we also help build or help add and emphasize the necessary parts and pieces to really building, your quality improvement team internally within your organization, so that you develop that for sustainable, change and growth in your organization. So we provide direct coaching, to your quality improvement specialists, as well as provide, methodology education and other resources for you and for your teams to then be empowered to share that and to disseminate that throughout the rest of the organization as well.
And we're also going to help you begin to share this data. So we would start by helping you develop standardized trending reports or run charts so you can monitor your improvement over a period of time. And these tools would be developed or tailored based on the needs of your organization. And it would consider what tools you may already use or have available to you, and then also how you access your data. So how your EHR provides data and reports is really going to help tailor these reports to best meet your needs. And your advisor will work with you to help develop the tools you need to collect, visualize, and disseminate your data throughout your organization.
And, we want to make sure that there's an infrastructure for that open communication that I referenced earlier. And so we work with you on, again, developing that structure and that platform, what that is going to look like, that communication plan for your organization and how that's going to cascade down through your dyads. So that can be, utilizing our resources and that at the elbow support to help you implement a learning collaborative within your organization to drive and monitor that change. We can also give you other resources around, team formation and huddles and working with you to develop and build that out. Also, another element that we find particularly important is to have open access to resources, that there's a common platform that your dyads, your triads, your teams can go to access workflows and other information that's really crucial, quality improvement tools. That's really crucial for them to be able to do the work and to have what they need moving forward. And again, we also, provide communication and coaching support with your quality improvement team so that they can actionize that change. We work with your, quality improvement specialists around how to coach and how to drive improvement. Another piece that we find is very beneficial is creating a metrics toolkit, some standard operating procedures, making sure that you have policies and those procedures in place, that you have actual written delineated workflows, how you pull the measures out of your EHR, how your staff actually, those documented workflows for how your staff actually deliver care at the bedside. So we work with you on creating that toolkit. We have templates available that you can help customize, and it can help best meet your needs as well. All of this is done at multi-levels across the organization. We focus on that optimization, not just at that point of care contact with your dyad, but looking at your tools and your infrastructure and having that, overreach throughout, all the way up through the entirety of, your health system, your organization, your practice.
So here we have an example of transformation at work and also an example of data sharing. So on this slide, we can see the improvement of the tobacco cessation measure over the course of 2 years. And there are areas and times where their performance may have dropped, but that's okay and is expected. During this 2 years, there was the implementation of a new EHR and of course the COVID-19 pandemic. But because of that strong infrastructure and culture that has been built, the performance for this measure is still continuing to improve. So what makes that possible? It was really working with this organization and helping to provide that monthly coaching and the collaboratives to help disseminate that pertinent information to all levels, and helping them to develop processes and tools to share and visualize their data for accountability for their goals, and really working with leadership as they developed tools, standardized workflows and protocols, and then assisting in developing a data validation process, and also helping with CQM change package development So helping to develop resources that include details about quality measures, physical or electronic standardized workflows, and then best practices. So again, it's really that sharing of information being key, that team approach and the leadership support all really coming together and creating that foundation for success, even during tough times and times of change.
And, I want to share this example around A1C as well. Pre-pandemic with this organization, their A1C values were at 25%. Through working with us at the Regional Extension Center and the implementation of this practice transformation framework, they were able to take a system-wide all-in approach to hold their teams accountable for performance. Now, even through a pandemic, they saw change, they saw improvement, and they're continuing to sustain it. We worked with this organization to really develop an infrastructure for goal alignment. They developed dyadic teams within their units and even pulled together a more global multidisciplinary team to look at workflows, to validate data, and to really set protocols and policies in place to standardize the care around A1C. Now, at the REC, we worked with them as well on developing that educational content around the particular measure, but we also provided quality improvement methodology education across all of their dyads as well. We really worked with them to set up that support framework for their resources and tools that helped them then be able to monitor their data and have those dyads make those informed decisions around the changes they were testing. Now, ultimately, at the end of the day, they have been able to reduce their A1C levels and to make a 13% point improvement during this pandemic. So definitely a significant impact and change in their performance. Now, our particular practice transformation service line is really going to be a multifaceted approach to quality improvement. It's going to leverage those quality champions to drive that continuous change to improve outcomes. The model unit itself is going to allow every clinic, regardless of their size, to recognize the needs of their patients and then to empower them to make those necessary changes. Our job at the REC as your advisor is going to be to provide you with the project oversight, the training, the best practice resources and tools to help aid your healthcare organization in forging your own internal mechanism for sustainability in that new value-based care world we're in. Deploying this framework within your own organization is going to allow your local leaders the adaptability and ownership for that rapid cycle of improvement and change. Now more than ever, building that core flexibility within your healthcare system to weather those storms is essential for that healthy future.
We want to thank you for your time today and remind you we are on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And you can always call, email, or check out our website. We would love to hear from you. We're always here to help, so don't hesitate to reach out to us. And then if you are watching this video during our annual conference, don't forget to write down this clue. It's the letter C for your scavenger hunt. Thank you.
Thank you.